Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 97 of the Great Canadian Hockey Podcast. I'm James Parisi here with my co-host Aiden Sarah, and man, millions keep getting doled on out, pucks keep going in nets, and players keep injuring themselves at cookouts. This is the NHL, baby, and here is your Hockey Nerd Podcast coming back to you this week. Before we get to all the ice, though, how are we doing, fella? What is new, Aiden, Sarah? Tell me about the cold, frigid terribleness that you experience in Calgary on a day-to-day right now.
It's not horrible outside on a day to day right now, but I will have spent, by the time this weekend is over, I'll have spent 8 of 12 days in an arena. And so going from cold to more cold and then leaving the place to go back to cold kind of sucks. My voice is also tired. I did 3 games of play by play today. So if I'm croaky, that's why.
You do sound a little croaky. I imagined you were sick. I think like everyone's just a little bit sick right now. That's at least probably what I've got going on. But yeah, man, you do sound like a little bit of like a I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a fall fog in your voice. Yeah, one rink to another and back to more. I mean, that's a good time. That's all good fun. But I do sympathize with you. I mean. Are you going to get to any NHL games at all, or are you browsing last minute ticket sales see if you can get into the Saddle Dome for cheap?
I haven't been. The work's been very intense, but again, after this weekend, I think I've got 3 more weeks in Alberta, and then I'm gonna go to BC for Christmas. So hopefully at least one Calgary Flames game. I'd like to see a Canucks game when I'm back, but if not, I'm gonna go watch a Vancouver Golden Eyes game for sure. Um,
Ooh.
Now that I've brought that up, just might as well. That starts on Friday. The entire PWHL starts on Friday, which I guess today, if you're listening to this podcast on the first day, otherwise it will have already started. Vancouver plays their inaugural game at the Pacific Coliseum tomorrow at 7 local. Toronto and Minnesota play, and from there the schedule gets going. So very cool that Vancouver kicks off. I think the Canucks players were wearing those jerseys coming into Rogers Arena today. Friday night, first ever Golden Eyes game. I'm excited for it. James, what's been up this week? What's up this weekend? What's going on?
Well, last weekend I went to a fairly decent sized card show out in Langley. I mentioned that one on last week's episode. I mean, I traded a couple cards back and forth. I ended up it was one of the ones where I walk out with less than I walk in, and sometimes that happens. I mean, I grabbed a handful of things, but I'm coming back to being a vendor in the new year. I've made plans to start setting up a card shows again. It's nice to have a little bit of side money, and I've got a lot of friends who do it, so it's a pretty nice social thing for me. And I've got a decent handful of friends on the Lower Mainland who would definitely come hang out with me and be my vendor assistant as I sell trade cards throughout the day, and maybe they can cover my table as I go and snag a few deals myself.
Can
Um,
you like go and like sell them table to table? Just pull up with like a square reader, just walk around and walk up to people. Do you want some cards and just flash them out? Because you could put
Totally.
somebody at your table and then just like go for a round and pop up in front of people like, here, buy this card, tap here.
That would be very fun, very, very fun. But I like to think I would. I primarily deal in cash.
Okay.
You you know if you get enough e-transfers, it gets flagged to the government. Did you know that?
It gets flagged to the government.
As income.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
did. There was yeah, interesting. I did know that. I did know that.
I just recently learned that this past weekend. I had no idea.
Okay,
Why would
here's
I know that?
all right. Now, I don't know for sure. I might just be talking out of my butt here. I feel like if your auto deposit isn't on, because I've had different experiences. For a long time, my auto deposit wasn't on, and there was a problem that I think came from that. To the point where I needed to just turn it on to fix the problem. And I feel like that's when I learned it because it had something to do with the issues I was having.
You know, in the States, they just have apps called Zelle and Cash App where like you don't need to interact with your bank whatsoever. You're just tapping wherever you go. Oh, you need this $60? Sure. Here's Zelle. Here's Cash App. Done. It is
It's
so
not
much.
standardized though at all. Like you can't I like the fact that I can send a phone number money and an email money and it not needing to be, oh, bro, what's your Cash App that, and there's like at least
Yeah.
at least five different, even if they're all owned by the same company, there's at least five different apps that technically have that service. I kind of like the standardized thing.
Okay, we're getting into the weeds a little bit here, but I'm going to pull us back because I want to touch on the excitement that comes with this time of year. We're ramping towards World Juniors, we're ramping towards Olympics, and then by the time all of those are over, you're going to be a sniff away from the trade deadline of the NHL playoffs. So, I mean, right now in the hockey world, it's kind of an exciting time because you have all these things to look forward to, but right now you just have the calm of the NHL season, which is not very calm at all. There's a lot of craziness going on, and the primary craziness as of late, as I mentioned it on my way in, is cookouts, man. Nobody is safe while eating in the NHL. What the hell is going on?
Well, I
Jack
haven't.
Hughes injured at a team dinner. I've heard rookie party dinner. I've heard something about a wine glass that was hot. I've heard all kinds of things. And then I read today Luosterainen on the Panthers. A barbecue incident resulted in a burn. Jack Hughes is out 6 to 8 weeks. I don't even know how long Luosterainen is out. This is ridiculous. Next thing I know, I'm going to hear that at a potluck, a player broke his pinky.
Yeah, it's so weird. And you know what? Like, if you had told me, oh, at the end of November, we're gonna have a bunch of injuries, I would have sat here and been like, absolutely we are. And it's because of the condensed schedule, it's because of all the hockey these guys are playing. And you know what? That very well might be true for some of these guys, but you look at the other ones, yeah. Jack Hughes cuts his hand at a team dinner, Luosterainen hurts himself on a barbecue. What are you gonna do, Charlie McAvoy? Charlie McAvoy took an absolute bomb directly to the jaw. Like that's not a condensed schedule. It's just these guys are getting unlucky, and I think um, Jack Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, and Team USA are happy because both of those guys a little bit worse of an injury, and they could have been missing Olympics, but they should both be back. Hughes more likely than McAvoy, but McAvoy is expected to be okay too.
Aiden, can we sit on this Jack Hughes conversation for a minute? Because I mean, I've been thinking about this one all day. I knew all day that we were recording. I mean, hell, I've known all week we were recording, but I really started thinking about it today. And Jack Hughes, phenomenal player, one of the most electrifying talents in the league. Kind of a band-aid, dude.
Oh
Kind
yeah.
of band-aid. Okay, so in his rookie season, plays, I believe, 61 of 61 available games. Sophomore season plays, I believe, 56 of the available 56 games. These were COVID shortened seasons. Then 21-22, he plays 49 of 82. All right, 22-23, didn't do too bad, 78 of 82, but like he's close. This is probably his best showing as what I call an adult in the NHL. An adult is out of your first few seasons. That's what I've been thinking about, at least. And then back-to-back seasons, 62 out of 82 games. This season, he's going to miss what, easily 20?
Yeah.
Easily. So maximum about 62 games again. So if you're talking fantasy hockey and you look at the average fantasy points per game this player gives you, probably like a 2.5, you have to subtract that by 25%. This is actually like a 1.8, 1.9 player because you're just burning time on him nonstop. Now, if you're talking about this in a real world perspective, you just hope and pray that these injuries come in November, like this stupid team dinner injury has. And I get it. Crazy things happen. Like I've I've been in a party where one of my friends breaks a bottle and he's kind of tipsy and he tries to pick up some of the glass and gets a nasty cut on his hand or wrist. I've seen all kinds of things. One of my buddies working in a kitchen grabbed a hot cup. like a hot glass out of this industrial dishwasher, and it shattered in his hand immediately from the temperature change, and he ended up with stitches all over his hand, and he couldn't work for months. Like things do happen, accidents do happen. I'm not faulting him for this because I imagine it's probably not something that was super his fault.
No, I don't think he like Calvin candied the table yelling at somebody, like slapping his hand down on a broken glass like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Now, when
Yeah.
I did hear that Jack Hughes injured his hand and it was a cut hand at a team dinner, I don't know what your first thought was, Aiden, but I thought he was doing the knife between the fingers game. The look, I can get this knife between my fingers. Oh, right through my thumb. Uh-oh. That was my thought. I
I
have
would
yet
be
to have it
floored.
completely 100% proven to me otherwise that it wasn't.
Yeah. Um, Again, I'm a big like journalists are journalists and they should be allowed to ask the questions they want to ask. I would absolutely respect the heck out of whoever would just walk in there and be like, "Okay, so did Jack Hughes like cut himself with a knife because he was trying to play a dumb game?"
And then you just see the reaction,
Just get the
N-
no. Just get the
no,
no.
no,
Just get the
no,
no.
he did not. The glass broke. Good PR team. Good PR team. You know, whatever the true story is, they've done a great job of burying it because there's speculators out there and most of it's comedic. Most of it's along the lines of
Oh,
what I was just talking about.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there has been no one digging up dirt on it relentlessly. And there were other notable people at this restaurant. Like there were a couple Barstool staff. Chris Chelios was there. The other people were at this restaurant for different reasons, but nobody's coming out and talking about it, which I find hilarious. That's definitely like that's some old boys club stuff right there. But I digress. We can steer away from the Devils. I'm not going to get into all the Devils stuff trending on social media about the a graveyard or mummified remains being at one time located where the Prudential Center is now built and how they may or may not be cursed. I'm not going to get super into that because I'm superstitious and dude, I don't want that juju. I don't want any of the smoke going on there. No, thank you. The Devils can just be irrelevant when playoff time comes. That's
Blake Coleman. That's Blake Coleman is gonna get traded there. That's what I think. That makes them
Blake
relevant.
Coleman, a great Devil at one point.
Yeah, I think he's going back.
Huh.
That's my prediction. That's the only
Yeah.
Devils
I ain't
related
mad at
thing I
that.
have.
I ain't mad at that.
Yeah.
Aiden, where do you want to take things next? What's some pressing and interesting information that you wanna lay my way?
I mean, if you started looking at the 2026 summer UFA class like this time next or last year, and you were sitting there getting all fired up thinking, "Oh my God, we're gonna
It
have a
was sick.
crazy summer." Yeah, we're not, sorry, because Adrian Kempe was the last, I think, last colossal fish on the market. And the Los
Oh,
Angeles
Nick
Kings,
Schmaltz ain't colossal.
if he keeps playing the way he is, he's gonna get a big number. But Kempe goes $10.625 million for the next 8 years as a Los Angeles King. It will no doubt take him. Well, it takes him to the age of 37, and unless there's a late contract veteran kind of swap, this is a career king and
Bargain.
one of the most underrated guys in the league for what, at least 4 seasons now. He was always completely underpaid at 5.5. And I don't know, like he's 29. There's a chance that in a few years, in his early 30s, 10.63 with the way the cap's going is going to look like another complete steal, another fleece. Um, because he's a difference maker almost every time he's on the ice. And LA should feel very fortunate that he's been a king and he'll keep being a king.
Wait, but Aiden, let my brain think that I was just in a coma for 10 years. The
Oh,
last time I was awake was 2015.
okay.
And I see that this summer, the NHL's free agents are going to be Panarin, Carey Price, Sergei Bobrovsky, Alex Ovechkin, um, John Carlson, Shea Weber, Ryan
Shea
McDonough,
Weber.
Anze Kopitar, Evgeny Malkin, Jaden Schwartz, Evander Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, Jordan Eberle, and I can stop right there because that at that time, oh, and Matt Zuccarello. To me, that sounds like the best free agent class ever.
I think with the caveat that it was 10
Yeah,
years ago,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is with the hypothetical 10-year coma. So like, it's all perspective, man.
Wasn't it supposed to be McDavid too? You would have known who that guy was 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, actually. I think the first text I ever got about Connor McDavid was in 2013, and we do need to have a little bit of McDavid talk because this is episode 97. This is the Kirill Kaprizov and honorable mention Connor McDavid episode. Yeah, I remember getting that text in 2013 because me and my buddies played GM Connected when that was a fantastic feature in the NHL games when you could do franchise mode online. And then I remember a guy I had classes with and I went to elementary school with saying, McDavid is already the best player on the Erie Otters. And I was like, who is this? And then I looked him up on YouTube and I went, oh, okay. All right.
I
I
think
understand.
first time I heard of McDavid, he was in like the GTHL, the Greater Toronto Hockey League, because I think the Hockey News did a whole thing about him, James, and his then teammate Josh Ho-Sang. It was a whole feature on the both
Oh,
of them, because they were both like putting up record numbers under the age of 10. Like this was a long time ago. Um, yeah, that's a throwback. Josh Ho-Sang, what a name.
he made a rap album?
I did. I did. Do you know how many like people have rap albums that you just like it's like, okay, go off. Like,
No, dude, I don't want him to go off any further. It's really bad.
oh, I believe you. I mean, just go off and have fun. Like whatever makes
He
you
has
happy there,
a
buddy.
he has a song on there called Poppy for Heart. And it's like the number four in the middle, and it's all one word.
I don't want to be like that guy, but I've been completely not enamored with rap music for a long time now. It seems like the quality of it has vastly decreased. Oh,
Yeah.
see, okay, and now David Camp is starting between Brock Besser and Connor Garland. Like, I'm sorry, that's just completely unrelated to anything we were talking about. But the question has to remain, like, oh, the Vancouver Canucks. They just put my head in an oven sometimes
His
watching these
album was
guys.
released in 2024. The first song is called It's Time to Grow Up. Then you go to Hope for the Best. And then his second biggest one is called Curious George Goes to College. And then he had Hobby to a Passion. I assume that's talking about his rap game. And then he has Story About a Cowboy, North Side Ice, My Trophy, Feeling Like Bane. Apparently he's a big Dark Knight Rises guy, Feeling Like Bane. Yep. He's got one on there called Good Morning. Oh, and then he's got one on there called My Talk with Buddha. Getting real spiritual. Yeah.
No, you know what? I bet you that last one goes so hard. I'd love to hear him talk about Buddha.
My Talk with Buddha. Yeah, Josh Hosang talking with
Yeah,
Buddha
yeah.
about
Even
the ramifications on positivity in the universe led on by him wearing Mario Lemieux's number 66 to
dude,
yeah.
I might be the least religious person ever, but if you like were like pick one, absolutely. I'm going to talk to Buddha always. I think him and I would be homies.
Fair. I think monks are dope.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Do you want to start talking about hockey again?
Well, we talked about the one contract. There's a few more with numbers that I think on first glance kind of jump out at you. And again, you kind of have to sit there and be like, all right, imagine if this was like 1.5 million, 2 million less, right? Shane Pinto gets $7.5 million for 4 more years, which is a whole lot of cheddar that he can turn into a whole lot more cheddar if he plays his cards right. Pun intended. 19 games, 9 goals, 15 points on the season is a guy who's had two 20 goal years and obviously missed a half year in 23 24, which is the source of a distasteful gambling joke I just made. But he, in the last 3 seasons, has really shown James like this is not going to be anything but a top six forward for the duration of this contract. And again, you look at 7.5 million for Shane Pinto with 235 point seasons under his belt, 220 goal seasons. I get it. Um, I kind of look at this the way I look at that Frank Nazar contract in Chicago, where it's like, I've seen what you can do, and I know it is not going to be playing lower in the lineup than my second line center at worst. And Pinto's super versatile, can play center, can play the wing, and for the Ottawa Senators, I like the gamble. I like the roll of the dice. I honestly also like the fact they didn't throw more than 4 years at him, even at that number. Um, Even if they could have kept it at 7-5 and gone longer, I think you're really rolling the dice there too. So it seems like win-win. I think everybody did well here.
Is $7.5 million the new $5.5, $6 million third line
Yeah.
center?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking like,
We
summer
have we have a Tim
2016.
Stützle, Dylan Cousins, Shane Pinto center depth here, and that is nutty.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see all three of those guys play 1, 2, 3 unless it's like, oh, unless it's like a playoff series where clearly that's the structure they need to play. Like I bet you one of Cousins or Pinto would play wing in the top six. Great.
Or Jimmy
Noted second
Stu.
liner
He's not good
Linus
at
Carlson.
faceoffs. Jimmy Stu could go wing. He's not good at faceoffs. He's quite bad at them, actually.
I
Like, I
played
think I might be able to win a faceoff against Tim Stützle.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe a few. Like, I think I could go 3 for 10 on him.
If there's anything like you can compete with an NHLer for, I guess faceoffs is probably your best bet. You don't
Dude,
want
that's
to
the only
challenge
thing I
him.
can compete with anyone on the ice at. I'm not a good skater. I have terrible hockey sense on the ice. I've like probably the worst coordination of any attempted athlete you've ever encountered. But I am sick at face-offs. Like really sick. I had like a nice little I had like a nice little setup where I would like plant my triangle with my knees and then like do a little tap back lightly with the puck and then like shoulder and elbow down and then like skate out. Yeah, it was pretty nice. I felt really good at that and I really needed to feel good at something in hockey because Aiden, I started in second year midget. Everyone has been playing since they were 5 years old. And here's me at 16 being like, all right, well, let's give this thing a go. So yeah, watch out, Jimmy Stu. I could take you in the face-off dot. Let's talk about another center and one I definitely couldn't take in the face-off dot. This one getting a 5 by 5. And you know what? After a long career of grinding so far and a lot of career to go, this one's well deserved. Aiden, take it away on Adam Lowry.
It's a big number for sure, especially for a 32-year-old guy, but this guy's captain for a reason. That's as well as I can put it. He's a workhorse, he's a warrior. Excellent third line center, but quite frankly, last year there was a lot of time where Adam Lowry was playing a second line center role for the Winnipeg Jets. He's good for great offensive numbers every year for a defensive centerman. He's 15 goals, 35 points a year for the last 3 seasons on average now. And really, for me, like, again, if this is 5 years at $3.5 million, I'm like, oh, you got to steal. And so in 2 years, this $5 million is going to look like that, right? Um, Now, I don't want to like. I don't know if I necessarily want to advocate for like, oh, a player should be taking less money to give a hometown discount. Like, I get it. Um, Adam Lowry definitely didn't here, and he strikes me as the kind of guy that would have. So I do wonder how much of this, James, is literally like you said. It's just he just earned this. He did, really. He just earned this by being such a good leader, such a good captain of that team. Him, Nemesnikov, Mason Appleton, Alex Iafallo, Nino Niederreiter, all crucial to that Winnipeg Jets roster last season. Like as good as you had the top guys going, as good as Connor, Scheifele, Morrissey were, Velarde had a great year, but the depth scoring that Lowry drove did a lot for them.
That team makes me like thinking about that team winning, even though they have a lot of exciting high-end, high-impact players, like there's a ridiculous amount of talent on that Jets roster. Like Josh Morrissey is easily a top 10 defenseman in the NHL. Connor Hellebuck is a top three, if not the number one goalie in the NHL. Kyle Connor, one of the best goal scorers and wingers you've got in the league. Mark Scheifele, he's probably like the 10th best center in the league. Like maybe 12th, something like that. And you have a good handful of supporting cast members. You mentioned them in Lowry, Velarde, etc. I don't know why this team bores me so much. I think it's because I'm just used to them losing every playoffs and not feeling like a true threat. Like they can run a train on whatever version of the regular season they want. It's not going to do much for me. They really need to like draft and develop a couple awesome guys. And I heard someone talking about recently that it was another podcast, I can't remember which one, that the Jets have to draft so much smarter and differently than any other team because you can go draft the best player available. But if it isn't the right personality type for Winnipeg, you're gonna end up having to trade him. And you're probably gonna end up in a Rucker McGroarty situation where your hand is forced. You need to draft a guy that probably got in a relationship really early and is with his forever. You probably have to draft a guy who loves the outdoors and hunting. Maybe a guy who's like a real godly Christian, like get a guy who's just like salt of the earth about family, about the crest on the front, and will not have any interest in big city lights whatsoever.
Winnipeg drafted Colby Barlow 18th overall a couple of years ago, I think with that in mind, and he hasn't quite had the start to his pro career that you would have hoped he would have had, but
You know,
that
Colby
definitely is
Barlow is
part of it.
weirdly Caleb's cousin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But like he's Caleb's cousin in the same way that Connor McDavid is my friend McKendrick's cousin. It's like a second or third cousin. They like share a grandparent or something like that. And there's no connection in person whatsoever, but the relation's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like between like three of my long-term friends, we've got some like pretty solid hockey players from the universe being related to them. And so far no McDavid interview. I don't know. I don't think that's going to change.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Cole Perfetti's another guy that you can tell Winnipeg drafts kind of in mind that this is going to be a Jet. It is. He's going to be a Jet. He's going to be good for us. McGroarty's the other side of the coin. However, I think Braden Yager checks the boxes you're looking to check.
100%, man, 100%. I'm excited to see how a couple other guys in their pipeline turn out, but I do think they need a bit of a restock. I really think that being able to flog off a guy for a draft pick or two would be really beneficial for them. You think about all the rentals that they had in the last decade, like they've paid a decent price for a Sean Monahan, for a Kevin Hayes, for a Tyler Toffoli, for they did get Toffoli for a run, right? Was it
I don't think so. They got Paul Stastny
Paul Stastny?
as
That's
part of
one.
like a group like that, yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't Tyler Toffoli. He was just traded at every other deadline.
and played for every other Canadian team
Yeah.
ostensibly.
Yeah. You tell me Tyler Toffoli has definitely never been a Jet.
I'm 99% sure he hasn't been a Jet. If he was, it was one of those like Mike
He was a
Green being an
Winnipeg Jet for 18 games in 23-24. Check and made.
wow.
Yeah. 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 That was the last team he was on before signing with the Sharks. Trade from New Jersey to Winnipeg. Thank you very much. Oof. Oof. I am
Wow.
hot today. I am hot today.
Man, you look at these
In
stats and
I'm riding this energy into talking about the last contract on our list, and that is goaltender Scott Wedgwood. Wedgwood, whatever it is. This man, I'm making a big case here. I'm making a really big case here. I'm not the first person to say this, but Scott Wedgwood signing 1 year, $2.5 million extension. That's a $1 million raise on the 1.5 he was making on that last contract he signed with the Nashville Predators. But this guy has been a match made in heaven with the Colorado Avalanche and stepping up on nearly another level week after week. with Mackenzie Blackwood coming into the season injured and Wedgewood having to assume starting roles. This man has gone 11, 1, and 2 with a 917 save percentage and 217 goals against. To this date, leading the NHL in wins. Not the shiniest and sparkliest of goaltending stats, but as you look under the hood, definitely above average everywhere you look. Wedgwood has the second best goals against average in the NHL, fourth best save percentage, first in wins. Canada is heading into the Olympics, and it's a bit of a roll of the dice which three goaltenders we're going to be bringing with us. Jordan Binnington stole the show as one of the personalities and a big winner, a big moment guy that got you through the Four Nations, has won a Stanley Cup before. Logan Thompson is looking fantastic this season, but in Hockey Canada is seemingly never been a Logan Thompson fan.
They've got to
I wouldn't
take
be
him.
surprised. Yeah, I don't think he's even
No,
going to make it
no,
whatsoever.
they have to take him. Do you realize the absolute like monsoon of criticism and like if Canada doesn't take Thompson, starts Bennington and loses, I think there might be like an actual coup against Hockey Canada for that because the expected standard of Hockey Canada is you win everything. Um, and you look at teams like the World Juniors, very often they've had the best crop of available players, and it's their unwillingness to name a specific team, name specific players that has let them down. And I'm sorry, like I don't care how bad of an experience Bruce Cassidy had with this guy when he was in Vegas. I don't know what happened. I don't care. Like figure it out so your country can win another Olympic gold medal because and you know what, you're making a good Scott Wedgwood case as of right now. Like Darcy Kemper hasn't played well, Jordan Bennington hasn't played well, but he's going to be there. Samuel Montembeau's been an absolute like just horrible all season. Aiden Hill's not playing very well, so I think you take Thompson because he's been one of the best goalies in the league this year. Really, you have to take him. Bennington, and right now, honestly, there's the piece of me that's like, whichever one of the Colorado guys is playing better close to the Olympics, because Mackenzie Blackwood wouldn't be a horrible choice either. I know he's only played 3 games this season and he's been fine, but when the guy's on, he's on. He had a really good year last year, not just after he went to Colorado. He was really solid in San Jose too, and that was an abysmal Sharks team he had to sit behind.
Yeah, Aiden, I'm going to be banging the drum for Scott Wedgwood for quite a while. This is a journeyman. This is a guy who's earned his spot. This is a guy who has battled as a backup and been a great backup. Looking back at his stats, whether with Dallas, Nashville, whomever, I've definitely been a fan of him. Do you remember him as a World Junior goaltender as well? Like
Oh, don't even start. Yes, he was
for
not
sure,
good. That
yeah.
was a
And
bad
I
team.
mean, you think about how long of a road it's been since then. This guy's in his mid 30s, and say if he gets to go be an Olympian hero, this could be one of the stories of the year. So watch for Scott Wedgwood as the season goes on, and hopefully we can see him wearing the red and white.
I think it'd be cool if he goes. I think expecting anything close to heroic if he does go is not only an over expectation, but again, if Scott Wedgwood has to be a hero, like what are we doing? Like you got to do better than that. You got to do better. Listen, if he carries them 7 games through a tournament, great, but boy,
I think you play each goalie through a round robin, and then you take whoever's hottest,
they've never done that. They pick a 1, they pick a 2, and number 1 plays twice, number 2 plays once,
and then you never see
and
three.
you don't see the 3. The 3 doesn't. The 3 throws on his jersey to go get his medal at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very fun. Very fun. Well, I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing whatever we come up with. And those aren't the only goalies in the mix. We could see anything happen, really. I mean, a scorching hot Dustin Wolf could sneak his way onto the roster. You never know. You never really
Dustin
know.
Wolf, like America's roster, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
think Spencer Knight right now has a serious case. Like
Yeah.
Swayman's been good. Um, Demko's good when he plays, but he's not healthy
Thatcher
now, and
Demko will not be an
yeah,
Olympian.
I can't imagine him being healthy for long enough to actually earn his spot on that team this year. Joey Dacord's a great shout. I would take Dacord without much trepidation if
Isn't
I were
he a
them.
Hockey Canada no-go?
Um, yeah, he is American. He could have played for Hockey Canada because the US have never picked him, but he
Yeah.
would have needed to do something to register to play for Hockey Canada that he didn't do, which means right
Hmm.
now he's still an American player.
Interesting. Only time will tell. While we're on the matter, do you want to talk Olympics whatsoever? Do you have some guys who are in, guys who are out? I mean, you sent me a handful of texts over the course of the season, and I feel like your Olympic rosters probably changed at least 10% for Canada.
James, my Olympic team's been all over the place, partially because I didn't know they were gonna put an NHL rink in that Milan building for a long time. They've never done that. Um, I also mentioned to you that having Olympic rule book and referees will also twist the plot a little bit. I think Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini have both played their way onto this team. Celebrini is a little bit more versatile in that I would trust him in a lower in the lineup role more so than Connor Bedard. But to me, I'm putting Connor Bedard on the first line with Connor McDavid and Mitch Marner as of right now. Like the play driving of McDavid and Marner and Bedard just kind of getting to be on the outside and popping up when they need to strike. Love it. Macklin Celebrini, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon sounds like a dream. Brandon Hagel, Braden Point, and Sam Reinhart's my third line. I still have Brad Marchand on this team. He's earned his spot. Marchand, Suzuki, and Shifley's my fourth line. You take Jarvis as the 13th forward. You sit down Sam Bennett until you need maybe a Conn Smythe Trophy pedigree guy to go play a role or something. My defense hasn't changed much, James. Devon Taves, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Thomas Harley, Shea Theodore, and Travis Sanheim. That's the same seven they took to the Four Nations. I'm adding Mackenzie Weegar to that list as the eight. He's the third right shot defenseman. So if they really, really care about getting it or getting the three lefties, three righties, that's fine. I said it just now. Logan Thompson has to be there. I'm sorry. They cannot not take Logan Thompson. If there was three Canadian goalies in the NHL right now that were playing even half as good as this guy, like if you really don't want him there, but Jordan Binnington has not been nearly as good as he's needed to be this season. Aiden Hill hasn't. Darcy Kemper hasn't. So to me, you got to take Thompson. You can take Binner as the backup. He's experienced, and one of the Colorado guys can be the third goalie. Scott Wedgewood right now has been really good. If Mackenzie Blackwood comes back, settles in, and earns the spot, I'm pretty sure he can. James, you're a Colorado fan. I think you saw enough out of him last year after he came over from San Jose. That's a team that wins this tournament. That's a team that wins this tournament. There's a version of a Team Canada they can put together that will not win this tournament. And I think that this tournament is almost going to get won and lost in the team building because they barely bested the Americans last time. And I actually think, as good as the American group is, the way Bedard and Celebrini have just broken into these game breaking players and the way Nick Suzuki, I don't know how much Montreal you've watched, James. Nick Suzuki's playing Selke caliber hockey right now. Um, and scoring at the clip he is all at the same time. So to me, that's just another emergence of a guy that's going to make a huge impact on this team. Seth Jarvis as well. It's a squad that should win as long as they don't mess it up in the before tournament part. Because I think you can put together a group of 14 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 3 goalies that are not as good as the Americans are going to be able to put out. But you take your best squad, I think they're head and shoulders above.
Aiden, we're talking Hockey Canada, we're talking international play. I would love for you to load us up on way too early, but never too early expected World Junior rosters for Team Canada.
Team Canada World Junior roster. Okay. So at the start of the season, there was an absolutely insane number of Canadian World Junior eligible players that were playing in the NHL. There still right now is a crazy number of these guys. Of the players that are currently in the NHL, that being 9, you're going to get 2. To me, you're going to get 2. Zane Parekh almost confirmed already. The Calgary Flames said they will loan him, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. He should have been there last year, and this is a guy that has a tournament MVP, number one defenseman in him. If things go right, if he's got the right role. Harrison Brunick is not the same type of defenseman. He's playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. It seems like he will also get loaned. He is an excellent two-way defenseman. Will just be something that Canada would love, right? Like they love the balanced defense, and Brunick gives them something that you pair with Keaton Verhoff to me, and that seems like a dream second pair. Here's the list of guys that are in the NHL: Macklin Celebrini, Michael Misa, Matthew Schaefer, Berkeley Catton, Beckett Sinicki, Ben Kindle, Sam Dickinson. That is the best on best Canada World Junior roster right there. Um, Obviously, that's not going to happen. I very much hope we get Berkeley Catton. I hope we get Ben Kindle, but I wouldn't put money on anybody else. With that being said, the team taking all those guys away is unbelievably good this year. Porter Martone is playing NCAA hockey. He's playing it well. So already the former Brampton Steelhead, who was a big boy already, is getting his share of big boy hockey in the NCAA. Speaking of big guys, Brady Martin made the Nashville Predators out of the start of the year. He's going to end up there. Jet Luchenko made the Flyers off the start of the year. He's going to end up there. Braden Coots made the Vancouver Canucks off the start of the year. Honestly, I don't even know if Goots is there, because if you look at the amount of forward depth this team has, the amount of center depth this team has, Michael Hage has probably been the best player in the NCAA this season, playing for the University of Michigan. TJ Ginla's got to be there. He's playing great hockey for Kelowna. Cole Baudouin was there last season. I'd be really surprised if they don't take him. And Jake O'Brien has been absolutely disgusting in the OHL this season. Like, Seattle picked him at ninth, which again, that's now like the 80th time they've taken a first round centerman in the 3 years they've been a team somehow. But he looks like an absolutely unbelievable player too. You look to the defense, Parek's going to be there. Brunick hopefully is going to be there. But Keaton Verhoff is the other guy that jumps off this page at you. University of North Dakota defenseman. Sam Cosentino today ranked him above Gavin McKenna in the pre-draft rankings. Now, I find a lot of those guys are like, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's the only way that they're different. Like, you look at my draft list, it's probably not controversial. There's nothing that's going to get people to go into the comment section and scream, you're an idiot. And I feel like some of the draft rankings we see is almost like bait for that. um, and
Dude,
I
you
kind
should
of,
do that. You should just throw out some ridiculous ones and put like an Instagram ad on it and see if we can just like bait our way into a bunch of followers and listeners.
dude, James, if we had done that like 70 episodes ago, you know where we'd be right now? It'd be
Famous?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carter George and Jack Ivankovic were both there last year. I like them both. Absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. You're probably going to see Justin Carbonneau and or Liam Greentree make the team. Greentree's a year older than Carbonneau, but Carbonneau's been the best player in the QMJHL to me this season. He was a first round pick last year too. So the talent pool to pick from is stacked. The amount of players that they aren't even going to have a sniff of getting are crazy good. Like, they might get Michael Misa if it's one of those situations where, oh my God, he's healthy on December 18th. Let's send him to the World Juniors as like a conditioning stint. I think Seattle did that with Shane Wright. You know what I mean? Wright was like a
It was really
Coachella
good for him.
Valley. Yeah, it was great. He was a Coachella Valley Firebird and played for Seattle start of the year. Then he goes to the World Juniors, and then after the World Juniors, he goes back to junior hockey. If Ben Kindle makes the World Junior team, it's going to be like that. Pittsburgh are going to have decided, okay, we're going to have you go spend the rest of the year somewhere else. You're going to go to the World Juniors first. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening with Beckett Seneke. Obviously, Celebrini and Schaefer, no way. Sam Dickinson has carved himself out a role on the San Jose Sharks defense that makes me very doubtful they'll send him too.
I think if the Sharks send one, they're gonna send both.
Dickinson and Misa, I'd
Yeah.
love it. I'd love it. That'd be
If they
great.
send one, they're sending both. That's my only thought.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how they're doing, because they're not out of the fight right now. They're very much continuing on. Um, we talked about goaltenders a lot earlier. I mentioned Thatcher Demko's perennial injury problems. He's hurt his groin. That was about a week ago, and he still is not skating. Neither is Anthony Stolarz. Last week we heard from Craig Berube, James, that Stolarz was close. And I think Berube even was like, oh, this game next week, we're going to start him. Like, this should be his game. And then Berube had to go out yesterday, I think, and just say, yeah, he's worse than we thought he was. He's not on the ice yet. He's still going to be a bit. Um, so, James, is your fantasy hockey tie into this going to be pick up Joseph Woll?
No,
No.
no. I'm staying as far away from the Leafs as possible until January.
You can give me Matthew Nyes if you want.
No, no. You could beg and it'll still be a no. It'll be a hard no.
You got two guys. You got two Matthew Nyes. You got him and Cutter Gauthier now. You got two of the same player.
Yeah, I would like to have five of them.
I don't think there's five of those guys, man. Like
Uh,
speaking of Olympics, that is two players that are playing their way right into consideration. I think Matthew Nyes makes the team. I think in part because Austin Matthews seems to play really, really good hockey when he's happy and satisfied, and then really, really horrible hockey when he's in a mood at all. So why not staple his Toronto line mate to him and hope that he has a better Olympics than he did Four Nations? Matthew Nyes, I think, has earned it. To me, that's a good duo to put on the second line of the Americans. I don't think Gautier's there yet, though.
you couldn't get through the Matthew Nyes sentence without sending a shot, hey?
Not at Matthew Nyes, bro.
No, no, no. You couldn't get it through without sending a shot at Matthews. You couldn't do
Yeah,
it.
and listen, earn something, do anything. Looks like they're missing Mitch Marner a lot more than any Toronto fan said they were going to, but you know, Golden Boy.
I honestly, man, I I I don't think Mitch Marner would fix this.
Oh, I don't think Mitch Marner would fix this. I agree with you. I totally agree with you, man. Mitch Marner in Toronto, like obviously, I thought they were like ridiculous on this guy. Like absolute no reason they needed to drag him through the mud like that in Toronto. But what I will say, if I'm a Leafs fan, James, like they could have got Mikko Rantanen for him. They could have got Mikko Rantanen from Carolina for him, and Marner said no. So quite frankly, if I'm a Toronto fan looking back on Marner, that's probably the thing that like stings the most. Was like, you know what? He was a good Leaf. I don't care. I don't care what the Toronto fan base thinks of the guy. Like he was a good
Once
Leaf.
you
He
do
was a
the
great
gritty, you're
player.
done. You're done. I'm
Yeah,
done
that's
with you
fair.
once you do the gritty. It's
That's
over.
fair. That's
Yeah.
definitely fair.
Yeah.
Jake Wallman and his celebrations, like
And I'm not a Jake Wallman guy either.
no, me neither. And I'm usually not like an anti-fun guy. Um,
That one's just the one that's too far for me.
I just
Like Frank
I'm not
Nazar doing the
anti-fun.
6'7" thing. He's like he's a child. Like he's like
Yeah,
19.
yeah.
So it's like you're allowed to like kid things. Like my brother's 17. Like I understand. I liked and said some really dumb stuff when I was a teenager as well. But I think there's a point when you're like 24 and you're a professional athlete where it's like maybe the most recent trend that 16-year-olds are doing isn't the thing to be doing.
My 14-year-old cousin saw me in a suit this weekend because I was working play-by-play at Winsport, and
Did he think you were a lawyer?
he told me I have aura, which I took as a compliment without being totally sure what he was talking about.
Mm, mm. That's hard, dude.
Dude, it's like a code, bro.
Yeah. Wow. I think I'm just about ready to take things away from current events in the NHL right now and take things over to the PWHL. Things starting off in Vancouver Friday. Aiden, walk me through what the Vancouver Golden Knights are going to be able to bring to the table. I know we have Sarah Nurse on the roster. I know we have Emmerich Mashmeyer. I recognize a handful of other player names. Is this a competitive team in that league?
Well, yes, they have the top end talent to be, and I think what's again, and this is I do know a handful of female hockey prospects. I don't know all of them for sure, but when I'm reading through the Golden Eyes roster, at least the one they had for preseason, what jumps out at me is the amount of youth they do have on this team. There
Mm.
is a lot of players born 2000 or after, and I have to remind myself because it's crazy. Like we're in 2025, so that doesn't mean they're teenagers or anything like that. But it's a relatively young team. The majority of this roster is 26 years old or younger. So obviously, the big name Sarah Nurse is going to jump out at you. She's one of the oldest players on this team, and she's not even 30 yet, only 30 years old. So other thing, James, I keep saying the phrase Olympic year. It's an Olympic year. It's an Olympic year. You know what else it means that it's an Olympic year? Not just that the NHL players are going to be going at it. It means that get into the PWHL because some of the most intense hockey, some of the hockey that I have cheered for and been hurt by the most has been Canada versus USA women's hockey. The perennial top two, I am sure, will find themselves in a competitive game. If it's not the gold medal game at the Olympics, they will no doubt probably have to go through each other to get there. So, to me, as much as you've got a wide variety of players on this Vancouver team, plenty of Canadians, but you've got Americans, you've got a Czech player as well. That's the only Euro I think they've got on the team, but absolutely. To me, if you're gonna take a swing at the PWHL, I think you should do it now, and then come Olympic time, you know who all these players are, you know how good all these players are, and you can get into the Canada USA women's hockey rivalry. That's one of the best in hockey. You ask me who the most clutch hockey player of all time is, my answer doesn't vary. It's Marie-Philippe Poulin, and it's all from those Canada USA games where she was an absolute hero. She's a Canadian hero, and man, I don't I feel lucky. As much as I feel lucky to have watched so many of these great athletes, I think as good as Haley Wickenheiser was, I feel lucky that Marie-Philippe Poulin started her first tournament, her first anything on the hockey scene was the same time that I got into hockey. It was the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver that pulled me in, and I never walked away since then. At 18, she was there as a hero.
Love to see it. Can't wait to see it on the ice. And it's time for the Fantasy Gamblers Roundup because you need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. And this is a fun one because every player I'm going to talk about is a player I've made the decision on in the past week. And so far, some of those decisions hit, some of those decisions misses, but that's fantasy hockey, baby. That's gambling. That's all good fun. But I'm gonna let you run first because mine are full of wins and losses, and I can't wait to see what you've got to show me.
Well, James, Victor Hedman turns 35 years old soon, and he's out for, quote, weeks with an injury. And when you hear a guy in his mid 30s with the amount of miles on his body that Victor Hedman has, and you hear a weeks long injury, there is reason to be concerned because not only at that age, are you struggling to recover from injuries and get back in the lineup more so than if you were 10 years younger? But a defenseman like Victor Hedman, whose mobility in his two-way game is so big to him, he might not be able to step in and be at 100% capacity doing everything. JJ Moser is an incredibly underrated defenseman. They got him from Utah as part of the Mikhail Sergachev trade. Back in Arizona, he had a season where he had 7 goals and 31 points. He had another one where he had 21 assists. It's not massive numbers, but there is now a gaping hole on that left side of the Tampa Bay Lightning defense. Darren Radish is going to end up getting the bulk of the power play time left behind by Hedman.
Looks good.
Radish looks completely, yeah, solid. It's his second year in a row looking pretty good on that back end. But to me, it's Moser that's going to end up taking up a huge chunk of the 5-on-5 minutes. He'll play PK. He'll probably end up in the second power play unit. It's a guy that Tampa like a lot. And I think the Hedman injury means that if you've got a deep league, if you've got the kind of league where picking up a JJ Moser is sensible based on the rosters you have, I know our league, James, that is true for our league. The other league I'm in, probably not. But it's about how you play. It's about where you're playing. Moser's my pick. Take it away from there.
a lot of fun there and a lot of uncertainty there. That's one that could really pay dividends and pay dividends quick. In a lot of fantasy hockey, especially in dynasty formats, is about exercising patience. And both you and I had to exercise patience with a couple forwards we had. Ones we ended up trading with each other. You traded me Pavel Buchnevich in exchange for Carter Verhaeghe. Both of them struggled mightily through the first near quarter of the season. Me acquiring Bushnevich, I clearly needed to practice what I preach, and I needed to know when to hold him because Carter Verhaeghe is starting to turn it on, and the stats are coming slowly, but the advanced stats are coming faster. He is generating scoring chances and looking great and passing the eye test yet again. Pavel Bushnevich is looking like one of the most overpaid, useless third liners in the NHL right now. And I've tuned into two Blues games recently, and you almost never notice him, and when you do, it's usually a turnover or a bad decision with the puck. I can't explain exactly what is going on with this guy who is usually a one-man breakout and a full generator of offensive chances. And a very versatile forward. So it's one of those things where he could turn it around, but I'm not seeing anything just yet. So when you're making these one for one swaps, especially with players who are struggling, it can a lot of the times be viewed as a safe bet either way. But you got to know when to hold them, man. You really do. Now, here's another one. You need to know when to fold them because I thought I knew when to fold on Maxim Shabanov, but I traded them away last week after holding on to him, leaving him on my IR slot for the 15 games. I picked him up right before the season started, and I cashed out on him, acquiring an injured Valerie Nichushkin. Honestly, I was pretty happy with that. That seemed like a surefire win, but the Islanders, big 5-0 win tonight. We're recording on Thursday, November 20th, and Maxim Shabanov, 4 points, 2 goals, and 2 assists. I'm blown away. He managed to do this in about 13 minutes of ice time, and I traded them away knowing full well that he would be playing more than 10, 12, 13 minutes. And I thought with that role and with the players ahead of him, there's no chance this is an impact player this season. This is a guy who contributes maybe the odd even strength point here and there, might wow you with one shift here and there, but nothing to write home about. Well, 4 points is a lot to write home about, Aiden. That's two bad decisions in 1 week. Let's take it to the good one. You need to know when to walk away. I uh I had a little bit of goaltending trouble to start the season, and it quickly turned around with Scott Wedgewood being a fantastic free agent acquisition and Jeremy Swayman really showing what he's made of and why he's one of the top goalies in the NHL. But I had a bit of a desperate moment and I picked up a scorching hot and not in a good way. Scorching hot as in he's been barbecue leftovers. Yaroslav Askarov. He had some of the worst goaltending stats in the NHL and was maybe the worst fantasy goalie so far this season. But he picked up starts, and when there's starts, there's optimism in fantasy. Askarov managed to rattle off 4 or 5 wins in a short period of time, and I was able to trade him away immediately, one for one, for a just recently struggling over the last few games, UC Saros. It
Yes, I
that
saw
is a
that.
lesson that everyone needs to understand in fantasy hockey. When a player's high, you need to sell, sell, sell. If you can find a buyer for what you've got, and you can pick up a struggling guy who you know has a higher floor and a higher ceiling, you're in the money, man. You're in the money right there. So hopefully you guys can take some lessons from my wins and losses this week. And I'm out here hashing out offers and making deals left and right. So I believe I'll have more for you guys next week.
James is fun to trade with, so I don't want to bug him too much.
Aiden, let's talk shows and movies. Do you have anything for me this week? What have you been watching? What's been occupying the brain?
Dude, more Pluribus by Vince Gilligan. I talked about it last time. I'll talk about it again. Because I haven't got to watch too much. I think last Wednesday was our recording. It's Thursday, November 20th, as we're recording today. But after last Wednesday, again, it was the Rocky Mountain Classic U15 AAA Showcase in Calgary. So that occupied my weekend. Um, and then I started work for this tournament yesterday. I'll be going till Sunday. So it's kind of just hockey in the background for me for a little while here. But I know you've got a movie for us in this episode. So close it out with your flick.
Aiden, I went and caught a movie with my buddy Josh. That is the North Korea, as in Paul Korea nukes in our fantasy hockey league. Him and I
Okay.
watched Edgar Wright's The Running Man, starring Glenn Powell, Michael Cera, Coleman Domingo, Josh Brolin, Lee Pace, and Sean Hayes and William H. Macy. A fairly stacked cast. Edgar Wright is a director you may know from flicks like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, uh, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He's a fairly stacked guy in what he's put together. He came out with a show called Spaced back in the day, and he's done Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho, The World's End. He's got Baby Driver 2 coming out soon. Aiden, you're waiting for me to mention something,
No,
and
it was
I'm
Baby Driver. I was waiting
with
for you
Baby
to mention
Driver?
Baby
Okay,
Driver.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic director. I love how he adds a really good comedic aspect to it. Michael Cera is placed in the cast perfectly, directly in the middle of the movie for this reason. It's an action-laden movie and in a bit of a strange version of our world. And Glenn Powell plays a desperate parent who is desperate for money, and the people living in poverty participate in extremely dangerous TV shows at a network, and rich people basically watch them hurt themselves, get killed. This one that he's participating in, The Running Man, features three people who had been living in poverty, getting hunted down by a group of hunters and one specific captain. And it's fairly exhilarating, fairly interesting. And you meet a good handful of likable characters along the way. I didn't love the pacing as much as I usually do on an Edgar Wright film. I wasn't really into the first 20 minutes of it. I wasn't really into the last 20 minutes of it. The middle half of this movie though, Aiden, fantastic. If you're looking for a good popcorn flick, if you're looking for something fun to watch, I highly recommend it. But this one isn't going to be in my top five movies of the year. I was happy I watched it. I really, really enjoyed the 15 minutes of Michael Cera that you get, that alone was worth the movie experience. To top it off, it's so nice going into the VIP theaters.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a funny experience. We walk in and the trailers are going on. Everybody's just having their snacks. And the VIP theaters, they come and serve you drinks. They serve you food. You see people with full nacho plates. You see people with burgers and fries. Whatever it is, it's flying out there. Full bar setup. Everything you need. It's quite comfortable. The chairs are fantastic. We find our seats because they're pre-selected, and Josh looks and, oh, you can't recline it. There's no power to my chair. So the server that's working, she gets in there, she kind of starts taking apart the chair. She checks it should have power. It doesn't have power. We're like 10 minutes into this going on right now. Most of the previews have already happened. And then she's like, I need to get a manager. And then she she runs away. A manager comes in and he's got this chair taken apart. The movie's about to start, right? Like, and they're coming out, they're bringing the popcorn, they're bringing the beer, they're bringing people their nachos, whatever. And at this point, people around us are starting to look a little bit concerned. They're like, "Oh, is this going to be happening when the movie's starting?" And you can see a lot of muttering going on. And I personally start thinking about this from a bird's eye view, or like it's a movie scene. I just start laughing, and I'm laughing out loud as this guy's like ripping through and damn near sweating, trying to get this stupid chair to work again. And then he pops his head up in a panic and he goes, uh, can I move you guys? There's options.
Do you think that could have been an idea earlier than that?
Oh, totally. 100%. You got to admire the gumption and character that came from these guys as they're trying to fire this thing up. The movie's about to start. There's no time for this. You're not going to be able to take this chair apart and put it back together and get me power again. You know how many things go on this chair? I swear there's like plugins to charge your phones. There's a heated chair setting. There's a cooled chair setting. There's multiple motors. I think there's four adjustable parts of the chair. Like you're not going to get this thing going.
I
I think
clearly
it's
haven't I
about as
haven't done this
difficult to work
thing.
on as a car, man.
I have not done this thing, this VIP thing. It
It's pretty
sounds
sick.
intriguing. It
It's
sounds
quite cool.
intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not cool for the manager of this Cineplex VIP theater that night. He was not having fun, and you could see. I think even the server was laughing by the end of it. She's just like, what is going on? This is ridiculous." We end up going way worse seats, but whatever. It was still an enjoyable experience for sure. I love getting back in the theater. Definitely something I'll be doing again soon. One more thing on movies. It's Christmas movie time of year, man. I don't believe in watching them before Remembrance Day, before the 11th of November. That's completely against everything I understand. Maybe I'm not going to say stand for because it's not something I feel super passionately about, but I'm just really not down for it. But I've already got a couple Christmas lights set up in the bedroom, and I started my holiday movie watching season with Home Alone 1 and 2. I started off a little bit too strong because just about every Christmas movie from here on out is worse for me. I think those are two of the three best Christmas movies going. And Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, as I've said on this podcast, is without a doubt my number one favorite Christmas movie. Before next episode, I am going to get Aiden to throw up questions for our next pod. And I want whoever checks out our Instagram these days to give us your favorite Christmas movie or a Christmas movie that absolutely needs to be watched. And I am going to have Aiden take me through blind rankings on them.
No.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Sounds fun. I'd like to get a little bit of a gamesmanship aspect to it, and I hope that's something you guys would enjoy. But Aiden, unless you've got more hockey to talk about, I don't. Let's roll that outro. Thanks, guys.